isn't relationship the most testing, trying, scary, beautiful thing that we could ever ask for? I've been through my share of relationships, long term of 20 years, married, committed, all that good stuff, short term of a few months, hookups and dating, and everything in between. And as of recent, I've really just been so appreciative of all the lessons of the past and how I'm getting the opportunity to really just dive in to the beautiful healing work that relationship is supposed to meant to be just for us in our lives in so many ways. You know, confrontation is one of those things that happens in relationship, and I think that we all are terrified of confrontation. We do not want it. It is one of those things that we just go, right? And why do we not want it? We don't want it because it causes such a drastic contrast in the energy, in our feelings. We start to doubt, we start to fear, we deal with anger, which is sadness, actually. You know, it's right there, and we're sad because we're not being seen, we're not being heard, or at least that's how we perceive it. And our egos rise up. And when our egos come up in confrontation, what ends up happening is we armor. And I've been using the word armor a lot lately. And the reason behind that is because I'm very aware as to when I choose to pick up my armor these days. Because for the first time in all my life of relationship, I feel like I've really put the majority of my armor down the majority of the time. And it feels so phenomenal to not run around with all this armor that just the slightest little drop of picking it up, and I start to just hurt in all these different ways. And my heart aches and my body aches and I get tension, headache instantaneously. And I go, how is that possible? That I went from this state of just feeling fantastic, feeling connected, feeling all of this, to feeling like utter crap. Well, it's because I went and dove into my crap. And that's what confrontation is it's us typically diving into our own pool of shit and not even realizing that we've gotten into our own pool of shit. And once we do that, guess what we do? We can't hear or see what our partner or the person that we're in confrontation, typically, and what I'm talking about is our intimate relationships, our significant others, primary relationships out there, those loved-based. What happens is that we no longer see them. They are getting masked and covered up by all this garbage. And that causes us to armor up because we're not actually seeing and feeling them anymore. What we're doing is we are seeing and feeling fragments of trash from our past. It's that relationship from 20 years ago. It's the heartbreak when we were a teenager. It's the last person that we dated that we were with. It's our fear that we're not good enough or that we're too much and maybe we're too weak or maybe we're too potent or whatever our story is. We have all of that come up, and that gets in the way of this other human being, this soul that's sitting there. And guess what they're doing? All the same stuff. They have all of this rising up for them as well, but on their side, from their perceptions. So this is where you look at perception, and perception is, yes, it is reality, right? I wrote about that earlier in the week. Perception is reality, did a talk on it, and it's absolutely reality. It is our reality as to how we're seeing it, right? So how we see it creates our perception, and then we react from that perception, which in this case and in many instances is a whole bunch of trash from our past that is coming up, causing this nasty wall between us, our heart center, our soul, and this other person. And they have the exact same thing going on the flip side. So how are we ever supposed to come together and connect to feel when we have all this garbage between us? All right, what are we supposed to do? Well, number one, realize it. Realize it, because the sooner we can figure out that, hey, that's not real, this is not happening in this moment, the sooner we can actually move out of the confrontation, the sooner we can actually get closer to that other person. We can witness them, we can feel them, we can see them, because we're going, hey, that's my shit, and they've got their shit, and we can't get through. Well, it's a two-way street, right? The other person needs to be emotionally mature enough to be able to witness themselves and go, hey, there's a whole bunch of garbage here, right? So I'm walling up, I'm armoring up because I'm fearing this. My ego has stepped in here and here. And when we feel that tension in our bodies, right? The headaches, the upset stomach, the anxiety, our body language changes. Maybe we go from open to shut, closed, right? We tense. I just had a moment like this not that long ago, and I realized in my body language that in the conversation, which became a little bit heated, my whole body went from open to wanting to just close. My legs got very tight, and I almost like pretzeled them as I was sitting there. And I could feel the tension in my hip flexors, and I could feel the tension in my lower back, and I felt anxiety in my gut, and I felt myself armoring myself off from feeling. I did not want to feel what I was feeling, so I started to put up emotional blocks with myself so that I could not feel myself. And in doing that, I armored against this other person. I prevented myself from actually feeling what they were speaking, what they were saying, and what they were feeling, because I couldn't feel myself. So anytime that we step out of alignment with self, we also step out of alignment with the other person. We can no longer feel. We have no sense to the situation at all. And what do we do in that moment? Well, the majority of people remain closed, remain with the armor up, or look for more armor to pick up because they feel even more unsafe. They feel even more vulnerable, right? And they don't want to surrender to that feeling because that's a nasty feeling. That's how we perceive it. It's a nasty feeling. It's a scary feeling. I don't like that. What if I go here? No, I need to protect. I need to protect. I need to protect. I need to be understood. I need to make sure that I'm heard. I need this other person to understand me so that I can feel safe, right? Happy, supported, okay again. And in truth, that's not going to happen. Okay? That other person, yeah, they could just shut up. They could close down, which is a typical response that us humans do. You know, we tend to put something out there, it's not received, and then what do? We close it down, we armor up, and we just go, okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm not going to talk. I'm going to become passive. I'm going to not state my needs. I'm going to not state my boundaries. I'm not going to state my heart on this because you're not receiving me the way I want you to receive me or the way I need you to receive me. So we shut down. And in truth, what we need to be doing on both sides is pay attention to, number one, this is a wall of crap right here, right? So we're both operating in this wall of crap, which means that it's not real. It's illusion. It's triggers from the past. It's wounds from the past. We've both gone into these wounds, and now we're there and we can't see, we can't hear, we can't feel ourselves or the other person. So we recognize that space. The sooner we can recognize that, the sooner we can get out of it, the sooner we can start to take responsibility and to take responsible action toward moving through this confrontation, this disturbance between the two. The next thing is to really pay attention to what's going on. Going, oh, what do I feel? How am I holding myself? Am I tense? When I had this confrontation the other day and I was noticing that I was doing all of this, just locking myself down in position. I was trying to make myself as tight as possible to armor up. And I could feel the tension in my arms and everything. So as soon as I noticed, I made a conscious effort to literally throw my arms to the side because I was like, no, I'm going to open. Oh crap, I'm lifting my shoulders up like this. Breathe down, relax the shoulders, I wanted to let my chest go concave and I wanted to protect my heart physically. Like I wanted to take my hands and go like this and hold myself because I did not want my heart to be damaged, to feel any pain. I was fearful of losing and I was fearful of feeling. So in that, I was trying to armor. And when I realized that, the thing that I did was, and I thought to myself, I literally thought to myself, open your chest, open your heart. No, feel right now. This is a space that you need to feel. And I could feel all the resistance inside myself. I was now just a fury of energy inside myself going, no, we don't want to feel. No, this is not safe. That's dangerous. What are you, crazy? You've done this before. That's not going to end well. It's always going to end up the same way. And that's what we believe. We believe in confrontation, that we already know what's going to happen. Therefore, we know what is going to happen, so why should we try to do anything different? Why should we vocalize? Why should we act different? Why should we reveal ourselves? Why should we surrender to feeling? Because it's just going to equate to us getting hurt. Well, what that is that we're dealing with those triggers from the past. And when we start to realize that's just a trigger, that's us going into a wound, that's fear, that's ego-based, it's not us in alignment. Okay? And that's normal. We all have fear. If you think you don't have fear, you're lying to yourself. If you think you don't have anger, you're lying to yourself. You're just so armored up against it that you don't even realize that you're that disconnected from your body, that you're that disconnected from your heart center. Those feelings, they're not negative. It's just a guidance tool of telling you that you're not in alignment with your soul. You're not in alignment with your heart. That your soul, your spirit, views it differently. And you are out of alignment with the view of your spirit. So come back to the heart. Well, the only way you're going to do that is to be able to breathe into your heart space, to unlock your physical body, and to come back in and breathe. Center, center, center. And then don't run. Don't run from the confrontation. Try to open your ears with your heart. Try to make eye contact, not the staring eye contact where you're like, I'm going to stare you down and try to put the fear of God into you so that you know that I'm more powerful or dominant or anything, but to soften and to try to just take in that other person. What are they doing? What's their body language like? It's probably similar to what you're going through. The lockdown, the shutdown. And if you start to notice that, you're going to go, wow, we're mirroring each other. They're going through the same thing. Well, once we can start to see that we are mirroring each other in confrontation, that we're both dealing with a wound with triggers, guess what happens? Compassion. First, it might feel like empathy, but compassion can happen because we're both experiencing that. And that is a space that you can turn a confrontation into a very loving act, a healing act. Because when we give compassion to somebody else, we're also forced into giving compassion to ourselves because we're coming into a relating of the energies. You cannot be compassionate for somebody else without understanding where they're at. Compassion does not mean that you have to go into that energy straight down there with them. Empathy brings us down into the same vibration. Compassion is an understanding. It is a higher frequency, emotion, more close to love. And then that space, we can actually connect. We can go, oh wow, well, what's this going to do? If we're both coming at it from this, if we're both locked up, how are we ever going to get through this? Well, somebody has the lead. Whomever that is whoever realizes it first. And the person who realizes it first just needs to open, soften, and open. And in that, you start to open the energy between the two. It's not becoming passive. It's not becoming overly agreeable. It's still stating your boundaries. It's still stating your truth, but it's doing it from a heart center versus an ego center, a fear-based center. And when we start to communicate like that, and we're in tune with our bodies and the sensations that are going through our bodies and where we're holding, we can actually feel ourselves pick that armor up and put that armor down. And we can learn the steps to putting it down. So there's my take on confrontation in the most intimate relationships. Although it works with our children, our friends, the people that we work with, you name it, confrontation's confrontation. Although when we deal with an intimate relationship, we're dealing with something that we don't want to lose in general, most of the time. As long as that relationship is healthy and good, I'd like to say that you probably don't want to lose it, right? Well, if you really don't want to lose it, then it's important to learn how to communicate with yourself first, and then to learn how to communicate with your partner. But a lot of that communication means a willingness to receive your partner for where they're at, a willingness to open your ears and maybe have to be the one to lead in that situation, and a willingness to really feel, to not run from the feeling. Because if you think about it, that's probably the number one contributing factor to confrontation, is that we have something that we perceive negative happen, ding, and then we feel that, and it goes, ugh. And what do? We run. We run from the feeling. We hide. And that is exactly where all the issues turn into just massive trouble. That's where we really pack on the armor. And it's all because we're scared to feel. So if you learn how to feel and you learn how to communicate those feelings, confrontation becomes a positive thing. Confrontation becomes one of those things where you start to go, oh, this isn't really a confrontation. This is just us picking our armor up here and working through something and learning how to communicate better and going deeper into the relationship, deeper into the big bad word of surrender, of vulnerability. Because the most beautiful relationships are the most vulnerable, are the most surrendered, are the most compatible relationships, because they know how to support each other in their surrender. But that's only going to happen without the armor. Okay, guys, on that note, there are some beautiful workshops coming up. If you go to www.kendallwilliams.com, you will see workshops coming up in April. And I've got some, May is going to be my ladies month, just so that you know. There's some beautiful workshops coming out, local people. I've got my quantum integration certification workshop coming up on April 10th, and then Addison Bell and I are teaching an energetic self-defense class on the 17th of April, which is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And then I've got my Jade Egg class for women, so all about self-empowerment, health. We're going to be talking about nutrition, empowerment, body image, and of course jade eggs. And if you don't know what jade egg is, well, message me. We can talk about, I can share content with you on that. And yeah, other than that, if you're interested in any of my services, what I do, how I teach and help people move through this nasty armor that we tend to carry, and there's a reason for our armor. And if you'd like to know why you have armor and how to de-armor, then please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. If I've said anything here that is helpful, a ha-ha moment, you agree, you disagree, the likes, the bads, the everything, put it in the comments, hit share, hit like, hit love, and I will catch you tomorrow with another Conscious Coffee. I love you guys. As always, remember, you're worthy of a beautiful, dynamic relationship. You're worthy of thriving, of abundance in every way. And all you've got to do is stop existing and start living. I love you guys, and I will catch you tomorrow.